right angle triangles and the trigonometric ratios. In a right angle triangle we have the following special ratios. Sine of A is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So if this is A, our angle, the opposite side is literally the side that's looking across at A. So this side length here is opposite angle A. And the hypotenuse is the longest side. So sine of angle A is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Cos of angle A, or cosine, is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. The adjacent is always the other side. So the opposite is always looking across at the angle, the hypotenuse is always the other side, and the adjacent is always the leftover side. So cos of A, or cosine of A, is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. And tan of A is equal to the opposite divided by the adjacent. These ratios can be found on page 16 of the formula tables, or an easy way to learn it off is SOHCAHTOA. So SO represents sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. CA represents cos equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And TOA represents tan equals opposite divided by adjacent. So remember, the hypotenuse is the longest side. It's always looking across at the right angle. The opposite side is always opposite the angle that we are talking about. And the adjacent side is always the leftover side. In the following right angle triangle, write down the value of each of the following ratios. Sine A, cos A, tan A, and also sine B, cos B, tan B. So let's just start off with angle A for the moment. So angle A is looking across at the side length 8. So I'm going to label 8 as O, representing opposite, because angle A is opposite side 8. Next, I'm going to label 10 as H, because it's the hypotenuse, it's the longest side. And the leftover side, which happens to be 6, I'm going to label as A. That's going to be the adjacent. So when we are working with right angle triangles, and there are angles involved, we use the formula SOHCAHTOA. So SO stands for sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. CA stands for cos equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And TOA stands for tan equals opposite divided by adjacent. So let's start off with sine A. So we're going to use our formula, sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. So sine of A is going to be opposite, which is 8, divided by hypotenuse, which is 10. So you get sine A equals 8 over 10, which is 4/5. Next, we're going to use CA. So CA stands for cos equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos of angle A is going to be the adjacent, which is 6, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. So cos of angle A is going to be 6 over 10, which is 3/5. And next we're going to find tan of A, so we're going to use TOA. And TOA stands for tan equals opposite over adjacent. So tan of A is going to be the opposite, which is 8, over the adjacent, which is 6. So tan of A is going to be 8 over 6, which is 4/3. Okay, so next we want to find sine B, cos B, and tan B. So I can keep the hypotenuse labelled as H. I can keep 10 labelled as H because that's not going to change. But now, if we're interested in angle B, then this side here, side 6, becomes the opposite, because 6 is opposite angle B. So I'm going to get rid of A, and now I'm going to label it as O, because it's now the opposite. And therefore, side 8 is going to now be the adjacent. So I'm going to get rid of the O and label it as A. So we were going to start off with sine of B. So remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of B is going to be the opposite, which is 6, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. So 6 over 10. So sine of B is 6 over 10, which is 3/5. Next, we're going to get cos of B. So cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we're going to get cos of the adjacent, which is 8, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. So cos B is going to be 8 over 10, which is 4/5. And then TOA is going to give us tan of B. So TOA represents tan equals opposite over the adjacent. And the opposite is 6 divided by the adjacent, which is 8. So tan of B is 6 over 8, which is 3/4. Use your calculator to find the value of each of the following correct to 4 decimal places. Sine of 32.4 degrees, cos of 45.6 degrees, and tan of 22.5 degrees. Make sure your calculator is in degree mode. This is so important. So this will be written on your calculator as DEG. So degree mode. Okay, so for the first one, sine of 32.4 degrees, you literally just press into the calculator sine 32.4 and equals. And the answer should be 0.5358 correct to 4 decimal places. If you did not get this, then it's not in degree mode. Number 2 is cos of 45.6. So again, into the calculator, cos 45.6 equals, and rounded to 4 decimal places should be 0.6997. Again, if you did not get this, and this is what you inputted, then it's not in degree mode. And number 3, tan of 22.5 degrees. Press tan 22.5 and equals, and round to 4 decimal places, 0.4142.